So if you want to change things around, if you're totally new to Arduino, or if you're new to this code, which you certainly are, you'll probably want a little bit of info on how this works. Now let me just make sure one thing first. The references, I put this in the GitHub page, but thanks to Alex for pointing this out. You'll probably want to go to this github.com/NicoHood, HOD, yada yada yada. That basically gives a listing of some of the stuff that you can kind of modify, some of the stuff that, some of the keywords that'll help you make the commands that you want this to make. This other reference, I didn't actually use this too much, but long press, short press, I think, well, at least I don't remember using it, but that's probably good too, because, I've had some discussion about like double clicks, or I suppose if you do long click versus a short click, I think that'd be cool. So, I do hope that people will take this code and just kind of run with it. Anyway, all that being said, the code is kind of laid out in this GitHub page. And I'm just kind of going to go through there a little bit. The intro here, you've got some stuff that you probably won't need to modify a whole lot. The LED circle is kind of an array that helps you, helps it know how to actually circle around here. And let's see, but the first really important thing that you want to know is line 44. I think it says 48 on GitHub right now, but it's 44 in this code at least. Basically, you adjust this array to modify the sequence that it goes through. So 0, 1, 3 is the standard one that I guess gets distributed at this point. So 0 is like the standard mode, the standard volume, media control, fan control, etc. mode. 1 is the mouse jiggler, and then 3 is Final Cut Pro mode. Basically, if you've got a bunch of different modes that I'll show a little bit later, you can modify this and it will just go from, if it was say 1, 3 or 0, 1 and then no 3, it would just go back and forth from 0 to 1. So this is really important if you want to go from standard bits of code or what have you. The second thing you want to note is, and this is actually pretty important too, it's line 52. For some reason these lines are off. Line 52, my encoder 1, 0, that dictates the pins that the encoder goes on. Basically, if instead of the volume going up when you go that way and going down when you go that way, if it's vice versa, then you want to swap this to 0, 1. This can be important if you bought your own encoder, or some of the other encoders that I bought initially on some of the earlier versions had some different wiring, but what I've used on the Kickstarter version, this should work for all of them. But if it doesn't, if things are backwards, then you need to switch that up. All right, so line 92, delay 5,000, delay to allow programming. This was kind of something I messed with for a while that doesn't seem to work as well as I thought with the Pro Micros that I'm shipping with it. Basically, what I could do, I could put a delay on this, and before it goes into HID mode, I can do a delay for 5 seconds, and then people can program it without having to worry about the timing and the reset button. That doesn't really work, so if you want to take that out, you probably could take it out or vastly remove it, and make sure to speed it up a little bit, speed up your boot a little bit. After that, you've got the pin modes, input, pull up for all these pins. Basically, just if you know anything about this, basically that's just kind of so you don't have to have a pull down resistor or pull up resistor or whatever. It's just taken care of by the microcontroller. So that's just a good thing. It also means that logic might be reversed from what you're thinking. So like if it's not pressed, it's a 1, and if it's pressed, it's a 0. Just something to remember if you need to dig into this a little bit more. But we'll go down to line 186 or so. Different input modes. So if input mode equals 0, which is from the array that we declared earlier in line 40 something. If input mode equals 0, then you'll set the colors to 10, which is red. Basically, that's a standard one. You set that to 10, 0, 0, just basically standard red, because it's RGB values, and show the results. And then you'll go to the volume mode. And then if input mode equals 1, you go to the jiggler mode. If input mode equals 3, you set the colors as such, and then you go to FCPX, Final Cut Pro. The array shown earlier corresponds to this little bit of code and puts you in the right function. So this is kind of the meat of the program from here on. Basically, you've got input mode equals 0, goes to volume. This is from the array, goes to volume, which goes to void volume, which is the array that kind of controls the normal thing. So if increment equals 1, so if it's going up, then consume right media volume up. That's just a volume control key. Controls LED lights, different stuff like that. Same thing if it goes down, then media volume down. Let's see, if SW6 equals 0, tab to the next browser tab on Firefox or Chrome. Yeah, I mean, this is just all stuff that can be modified if you want. And then screen volume, I'll show that later, but screen volume is basically the corresponding program for this that controls the OLED screen. So after that, you got the void jiggler. Anyway, it just takes a random number and makes the lights random, and it also makes the movement of the mouse random. Let's see, oh, I had a Slither IO mode. If you ever play that, I actually put a lot of work into this, trying to get like, basically so you can rotate the worm around, it'll follow your thing. It works all right. It's kind of fun. Final Cut Pro X, you know, the meat of it, HID keyboard right arrow. So it's basically rotate goes right, rotate that way left. So you can modify that as you see fit. Then you got if SW7 switch 7 equals 0, zoom in. So that's, you know, all these things. It's just basically if this equals 0, then you do something. So key left Windows. So I'm using a Macintosh, so I think that's the command key. So, you know, you just got to kind of adapt the stuff from that GitHub page that I showed earlier, the NicoHood HID library. This could be useful for a lot of people. The text input, if you put that in, basically it's just, you know, keyboard print line, JCPM macro 2 that basically says that and presses enter. You can even use that for a password or something. Wouldn't be very secure, obviously, but there's all kinds of things you could do with that. But you just need to program that in from the lines earlier. So let's see. So yeah, if input mode equals 6, text input. So what you would do, you would go up to the line 1, 3, you put in comma 6, which it would take it to text input after that. So after that, as you see on the bottom of everything, there's calls the screen text input. Basically after this, you've got some code for the 0.96 OLED screen. And for that, it has different text and stuff. So, you know, for like the encoder, you know, you get the tab, back, stop, forward. You've got a limited number of characters, of course, but, you know, it's pretty good. You've also at the bottom, you've got a little diagnostic screen that kind of shows you changes dynamically depending on what you have pressed. So that's just an example of what you can do with that. Obviously, there's a whole lot more. I thought you could even play like a little video game. I know there's like a little arcade version using these. Usually they use an SPI, but I think you could do it with I2C too. So if somebody wants to figure that out, that'd be awesome for like a little racing game or something. So please feel free to experiment. Screen jiggle, Final Cut Pro. Basically, you've got a routine for each of these. So the main routine then calls the 0.96 OLED screen display. And then you got this pixel helpers thing at the end. I'm not sure what that does. I'm sure it does something. If you're wondering which switch is which, this is switch 6, switch 7, switch 5, switch 8, 2, 3, 4, 9. That's kind of how it is hardware-wise. You can find that there on the GitHub page.